Hello everybody, this is Steve, your everyday guy here. Today we are going to be replacing my spark plugs on my Hangkai 18 horsepower. This is the start of my second season with it. In my first season, what happened is I didn't realize how much this motor sips gas, and so I actually mixed up 10 gallons thinking I would need that for my 10-hour braking period at my 30-to-1 ratio for break-in. Well, it ended up that lasted me all summer long, way more than 10 hours, and so as a result, I'm pretty sure that my spark plugs are completely gummed up for that super oil-rich mixture that I was running through here. The other thing is it is the start of the season. Replacing spark plugs is a fairly inexpensive and easy thing to do at the start of each season to make sure you're getting the optimal performance out of your outboard. So before we get into that though, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button. That way when my next video comes out, you will get notified and you can watch it. And while you're doing that, let's go ahead and watch this intro. When we come back, we'll be swapping out the spark plugs. Alright, so the first thing we have to do to replace the spark plugs is we have to take the cowl off. That's very simple. There's a little lever right here. You simply move that lever, and then once that's moved, it tilts up and just slides right off, as easy as that. This little catch here, there's a spot for it on the front of the outboard. That makes it real easy to put it right back on and make sure it's secure. Next thing you want to do is you'll make sure you have the right tools. Not a whole lot of tools involved in this. The tools is a socket wrench with a spark plug socket, 13/16, which is the size that fits the spark plugs for this individual motor. The other thing you want to make sure you have is you want to make sure you have a spark plug gapper. This enables you to get the proper gap on your spark plug. This is a real simple one. You kind of put it on there and turn it around. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take off our spark wire. I'm going to do these one at a time. That way I don't get these mixed up, because if you get these two mixed up, it will not fire right. So the first thing you want to do is you never want to pull on this wire here, because that can cause the connection to fray and not get a very good connection. So the other thing is this is kind of watertight, so we're going to kind of push that and pull at the same time. And all right, there we got that. The next thing we're going to do is going to take a spark plug wrench, and there's usually a gasket inside there that the spark plug will kind of stick to. So what we're going to do is we're just going to back that out. Once you get it a little loose and it feels like it's coming, go ahead and pull that spark plug wrench off. Otherwise that spark plug will get stuck in that gasket and real hard to move. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to take that spark plug out. Now remember I said it was probably really dirty. So I'm going to hold that up close right to there, and sure enough you can see all of that goo and corrosion and oxidization on there. So I'm definitely losing performance with that dirty spark plug. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take this spark plug. One of the really nice things about the spark plugs that come with it is they are NGK spark plugs. This brand is Torch though, which is the replacement. I found out there's two different brands of spark plugs. The next thing you want to do is make sure your gap is correct. And always consult your manual to see what it should be. I've consulted mine. And so I'm going to put this on here. Ooh, that gap is way off too. So we're going to do this to get that right over there. You see me kind of just rock it back and forth. You want to make sure you're not doing too much damage to the electrode. I originally had bought some E3 spark plugs to do this, but when I took the spark plugs out, I realized that the E3 were like almost a millimeter longer than the other ones, and I wasn't very comfortable with that, because that could impact my with my piston and cause damage to my piston. And if that happens, that means I got to do a complete motor rebuild, which on a Hangkai, you'd probably just scrap the whole thing and buy another one. So I went ahead and I got these Torch brand spark plugs to use instead. So now I've got that to the right gap. We're going to take that right off there like that. Now we're going to start off by manually threading this in. The reason why you always manually thread it is, one, it is not hard to get these in. They should go in fairly easily. Two, you don't want to risk cross-threading, because if you cross-thread, you're going to strip it out, and then you've got some major problems. If you're lucky, you can rethread. If not, you're going to have to replace the whole manifold, which is this part right here. So I've got that snugged up as far as I can. Always check the manual for the torque on it and use a torque wrench to properly tighten them. Unfortunately, I do not own a torque wrench, so I'm taking a gamble and I'm kind of just tighten this to what I think is correct. Well, and I hope that's right. If it's too loose, it'll shake. It'll shake as it's going down the thing. If it's too tight, it's not going to set in there right, and impact performance. All right, so when you're pushing this back on, you want to make sure you hear that clap and to make sure that it is good and seated on there. The reason is if it's not going to spark and it's not going to start. All right, so we got one down. Now let's do that second one. So I've got it disconnected. What's sticking on there right now is just that soft rubber gasket to the spark plug itself. There we go. So now we've got that one disconnected. Move that out of the way so you can see it better. Switch our socket wrench back to loosen, lefty loosey, righty tighty. You'll notice it's kind of a snug fit when I get my wrench in there. Just barely have enough room. All right, so let's get that loosened up. Get that socket off there. Now we can take that off. One thing you always want to take a look at is you want to see if the oxidization is even, I should say. If one's really clean and one is really dark, that means you have one of them that's running a lot richer than the other. So these two are about the same. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take our gapper and put that on there, and we're going to go out to the part of the gap that's the right size, which is determined by our manual. Make sure and read your manual to get the proper gap. And the reason why you want the proper gap is that's going to make it just the right amount of spark for ignition to get optimal performance out of your outboard. If you don't do this, it's still going to run. Probably going to sound okay, but you're really just not getting as much performance out of it as you could. So we got that gap set. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to take this, put that right in there. And tighten that as snug as we can with our hands. We're going to take our socket wrench and set that to go in the correct direction. Now you notice when I'm kind of snug into doing this, that's to get an idea where it's snug. Now what I'm doing is I'm putting just hopefully the right amount of torque on there. So I could really torque this down if I want to, but that would be super bad. That would be way too much torque on it, and I might even risk damaging my manifold. So now we're going to take the wire, we're going to put that back on there. All right, and we replaced both spark plugs. It was literally that easy. And like I said, it's inexpensive to get those spark plugs. It's easy to do. Do it at the start of every season. That way you know you've got the best optimal performance you're getting out of your outboard. Always check that manual, make sure you're getting the correct size. When you pull those spark plugs out, match them up, make sure they look like. Now I don't strictly rely on that, only use that as a confirmation. So don't be guessing, don't think, oh, this might be the right size. Make sure that you go to the website of the spark plug manufacturer if you can't get the exact same brand, and line those up and make sure to cross-reference it. This is Steve, your everyday guy. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. If you have any questions or comments, please leave those below. I love hearing back from you because I try to get back to you as soon as possible. The last thing we're going to do here, though, is we're going to take got to put our cowl back on. So what we're going to do is we're going to take it. What you want to do is you want to take this notch right here. That's going to fit right here, right onto that. So you put that on there. Make sure that is on there correctly. That'll make sure it's watertight and also help keep some of that sound down. So I've got this all set together so I can hit the water tomorrow and get you some brand new footage. I look forward to doing that. And I'll catch you on the next video. And of course, that final step once you've got the plugs replaced is to make sure it'll fire back up.